to have a hard conversation with black people about Diddy. A hard conversation. It's going to be very difficult because Sean Combs is not a glitch in the system. He is exactly what happens when there's no system capable of acting. And that's the first thing that every single documentary in the world will never say, because documentaries are not about justice. Understand me right here. Documentaries are not about justice. They are after action footage in a war that was never intervened. And people keep asking, how long could this happen? How could this happen for so long? That's exactly the wrong question, because the real question is, what force was ever supposed to stop it? Right, that's the real question, because there's no structure in this country that can reliably protect black women from powerful black men without simultaneously endangering the community. I'm gonna say it again. There is no structure in this country that can reliably protect black women from powerful black men without simultaneously endangering the black community. None. And so what happens instead of that? We document, we whisper, we warn quietly, we survive, we wait, and predators learn something very important in that waiting. That white society does not have the CIA because of white unity. That's not why they have the CIA. White society has the CIA because it's allowed to coordinate power. It is allowed to meet, allowed to plan, allowed to enforce, and allowed to act institutionally without that action being reclassified as criminal by default. And that difference changes everything. Because right now, there is nothing a group of black men can do together, institutionally, strategically, to stop a powerful black man that does not immediately become a criminal conspiracy. I'm just telling you the truth. If black men plan enforcement, if they meet to plan enforcement, conspiracy. If they coordinate pressure, coercion. If they restrict movement, unlawful restraint. If they intervene physically, guess what that is? Assault. If they form an internal body with teeth, gang activity. If they apply force, prison. There is no lawful internal enforcement channel in black society. Doesn't exist. There's none of that. So when people ask, why didn't somebody stop them? They're asking an impossible question. They're asking black men to use authority they are forbidden to possess. And that's the hostage situation right there. Black men are told to protect black women. Right? They are. And I understand why they say that. But the moment protection requires any of these: force, coordination, consequence, guess what happens? The state steps in, not to harm, but to stop you. So what ends up being left? Words, appeals, warnings, distance, silence. And none of those will stop a predator with money, mobility, or insulation. I'm just telling you the truth, right? And black women, they're told to speak out, but speaking does not activate protection. It doesn't. It activates documentation, and documentation feeds the media. Media feeds the platforms, and guess what the platforms do? They feed the corporations. Every single time. It's straightforward, because justice never even enters the loop. That's why documentaries exist, not to end harm, but to monetize the paralysis. Scandal does not threaten power, it finances it. It finances it. And any exposure without enforcement is just a spotlight on an unlocked door. So I want you to really understand what I'm talking about. I want you to understand what I'm talking about, because this is the last question that people say in situations about any type of predator. What could have happened? What could have been prevented? What could have been prevented that, if he was raised differently? What if the community had better values? That's what they like to say. You see how long I'm looking at you right now? I want you to focus, right? What if black men held each other accountable? That question sounds moral. It does sound clean, but it's an escape hatch built in real time, because moral alignment does not create an enforcement authority. It doesn't. You can raise 10,000 good men, and one insulated predator will still move freely if no one is allowed to stop him. It's the truth. There's no values problem in black society. There is a boundary of freedom problem in black society, because if every black man agreed this is wrong and it must stop, there is no lawful mechanism for them to act together without being classified as criminals. That is no culture at all. It is a containment facility, and none of this is new. I'm not saying nothing new. This is a Jim Crow level crisis, because back then black communities were told if you just behave better, you'd be free. But the boundary was never behavior, it was permission to gather.
Hold up, man, hold up. Because I can promise you there's a lot more to learn from the Diddy situation or the Diddy case. You may think you have heard it all, you may think you have learned it all, but trust me, there's a lot more. Even myself included, I haven't learned all as yet. Because truth be told, there's a lot of stuff surrounding the Diddy case. There's a lot of corporations, there's a lot of powerful entities, there's a lot of moral,
permission to enforce, permission to protect, permission to act without being annihilated. And that permission still doesn't exist. It still doesn't exist. So when people say, what if the black community was morally aligned? What if the black community was morally aligned? This wouldn't happen. Guess what they're really saying? Pretend you have power you're not allowed to hold. Pretend you have power you're not allowed to possess. And none of that is accountability. It's a fantasy used to excuse the paralysis we experience. So, the reality of it is this. Black morality has never been the limiting factor. Black authority has. Always. Always. Because you cannot raise your way out of a structure that forbids enforcement. You cannot parry your way past a system that criminalizes coordination. You cannot heal your way out of a cage you're not allowed to open. Whew. I'm sorry, bro. It's just irritating because none of this is failure at all. I'm telling you, we've been locked in a coffin. This is why this moment is more dangerous than Epstein. Right, with Diddy. Because Epstein exposed corruption inside of a system that can still turn on him. This exposes a void, a place where truth does not trigger protection, harm does not trigger force, coordination triggers punishment, and time replaces justice. That is managed paralysis. Managed paralysis. So, just so you understand the truth, there's no system in this country that allows black men to coordinate safety enforcement without going to jail. Say that to yourself. There is no system in this country that allows black men to coordinate safety enforcement without going to jail. That is the main thing, because we need to get past all that. We need to get past the documentaries, past the community accountability lectures. No, why didn't they do something? There's only one truth. There was no move. There was no move. It's not even about one man. I'm tired of the subject. It's not even about one man. This is about the place where black freedom stops. Because black men are allowed to speak free, free to warn, free to leave, and free to document. But guess what they're not do? Guess what they're not free to do? Enforce safety. Only thing a black man not allowed to do. Not together, not institutionally, not without being destroyed for it. That's the literal boundary, right? And inside that boundary are black women, right? Because truth does not save them. Never does. Morality doesn't cause consequences, and alignment never creates an authority system. There's only exposure, and there's only been waiting, and there's only been survival. That's all there's been here. We don't have a mechanism. We don't have a way to check them. And I'm going to tell you the number one fact. The number one fact we're going to need to accept. We got to hit people where they hurt. Right? Not in the legal system, because they got all them bought out. Got to hit them in their networks, in their power. You got to hit power in power. Right? That's how you deal with these people. Right? I want you to understand. Prison will never do it. It'll never get the job done. You gotta hit power in power. And it's important to understand. It really.
Whoa. No, that was a lot to take in. Right? Now, firstly, I don't agree with all of his points. I do agree with some, but not all. No, he spoke a lot of things. Right? Some of the stuff that I do agree about is the fact that the system itself is against black people. I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. And I also agree, I'm gonna put it in a different way. I also agree that the system has trained us to produce a perspective that we have a way out, when in reality, we do not. He did not say it exactly like that, but I'm gonna put it like that. I agree with that. But one of the main things that I don't agree with is where, he spoke about the morality of black people and how it actually does not really play much of a big part, in the sense that it's a key to a lock. Personally, I believe it's a key to a lock. But I think one of the main issues behind it, and why it's not becoming a key to a lock, is the mindset of our fellow brother and sister. And you could say it fall back to the system producing these people with a specific type of mindset or perspective. You could say that. But the truth is, and the simple truth, a lot of the people around us is unaware. A lot of the people around us perspective is limited, and a lot of the people around us have already fallen into a trap where they are already being programmed to think a certain way, to, dress a certain way, to believe in certain stuff, and so on and so forth. So when you combine all of those stuff, then you can say, well, that's why the community didn't speak up when Diddy was doing this and doing that. But I also want to say something else. You guys got to understand that Diddy was being protected. I don't want you guys to just go over that, because yes, the community may have came together, but it would have taken a lot It would have taken a lot of voice and a lot of movement, a lot of power to really cast Diddy out, right? We see something like that, trying to happen into Jay-Z, but Jay-Z, on the other hand, is trying to, regain control, reminding the public that, listen, he's Huff. He's the person y'all love, right? That's why he's been doing all these shows and those stuff, right? So it's a similar situation. So yes, the public could have came together against Diddy, but it would have taken a lot. And for that lot to come out of the public, their mindset would have to change, their perspective would have to change, and overall, they would just have to be a different person, right? The white people, they have their system. The black people, they have their system. But ask yourself, which system is truly more beneficial? Well, let me rephrase that. Which system is truly more better in the time we're living in, the society we're living in, and overall, the people we're living amongst? Ask yourself that question. Let me know your thoughts and perspective down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys feel. Remember to drop a like and subscribe, show some love, my people. Drop a like and subscribe, show some love. It is a boy, Premium Celeb, and as usual, I'm out.